Hello and welcome to All My Friends Are Right Here. I'm your host Vince, and today we've got Kia. Hey Kia.
Hi, am I all your friends?
Yes, you're all my friends today. Um,
Oh, cool.
Speaking of that, stay tuned for a special announcement at the end of the episode that's related to that. Not really. That sounds more ominous than it really is. Dun dun dun. But Kia and I host another show on this network called Saturday Night Love. You can check
Yeah,
that
it's
out.
fun.
And we're coming back. We're actually starting our third season or our 42nd season. Probably later this week. We just review the week's SNL episode and we pick the best skit of the night and just come up with the best list of best skits for Saturday Night Live for any given season. So, everybody every year somebody says like Saturday Night Live sucks. It's not as good as it used to be. The writing's terrible, the cast is terrible. But at the end of the day, like at the end of the season you're going to have 21, 22 pretty good skits to watch in about 90 minutes, and that's
Honestly, more than that. I think so. I gotta say, man, you always call them skits. I call them sketches. I don't know why.
I don't know what the
you-
difference between
pop
that is
soda,
and
whatever.
sketches also. There's sketches.
Skit. I don't know. Skit just feels. I don't know, like minimal or minimizing it or something. I don't know. Sketch feels more professional in a way to me. I don't know, but I will say
I don't take improv classes, and I don't. So
that's
I'll
true.
defer to your expertise on that.
I have taken sketch classes. That's right. Don't do it anymore. So that'll tell you how successful I was. But they say that those who can't do review it. So that's what I'm doing. But no, I would say way more than 22 decent sketches that come out of SNL every year. It sometimes is pretty difficult to just pick the best one each night. And I mean, yeah, certainly there's bad ones too. That happens whenever you do a live weekly show, right? There's going to be good shit and there's going to be bad shit. It happens. So yeah, to all those people who say, "Oh, it's terrible," and they point to stuff, I'm like, yeah, okay, fine, whatever. There's great stuff that comes out of it too. Don't hate on something because it exists. I'm glad it's still.
I guess that was
decent.
that was an undersell. It's just that like everybody tends to shit on SNL. I find it to still be a pretty good show. I came back to it.
Man, I gotta say, the level of talent in there right now is fantastic, especially among the women. You got Kate McKinnon, Adie Bryant, Vanessa
Emmy
Bayer.
award-winning Kate McKinnon.
What did she win an Emmy for? Oh, that's right, for SNL. That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, so
Fantastic. She deserves it.
I
She
don't
can
know if-
sell even the worst sketch, which again isn't selling it very well because sometimes there are bad sketches that she just kills it in.
Yeah, so what we're saying is go to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/allmyfriendsareright here. There's a playlist for all of SNL season 41 if you want to see some great skits about that or sketches. And and if you want to like and subscribe to Saturday Night Love, we'll be starting up in just a few days, and you can stay tuned. You can really hop in on any episode. There's no continuity between the things. But today we're talking, because we're on All My Friends Are Right Here, we're talking a bit about SNL's past, which we don't actually get much time to talk about. SNL's a show, obviously it's in its 42nd season, has huge legacy. There's a bunch of great books like Live from New York, The Oral History of SNL. There's a great making of movie, maybe also called Live from New York by James Franco from a few years ago. That's
Yeah, I think so.
It's pretty good. I have Saturday Night Live, the book, which is just a really good picture book. But since we're in election season, everybody always says SNL really does great when it's political stuff, which you can give, you can take, you can leave. But we're going to be looking at how they've depicted presidents throughout the years, picking the best SNL president. A lot of people have played them. I think there's been like 7 or 8 sitting presidents since SNL's been out. And they always will run like a political special, probably coming out in the next few weeks. They'll always run like the Amy Poehler, Palin rap, probably every single Tina Fey, Sarah Palin skit there was. And it's just... there are the big like.
Wait, I thought we were talking about presidents. Did Sarah Palin become president?
No, thank goodness. Thank goodness. Okay. But it comes hand in hand with presidential impressions, with campaigns. That that kind of peppering might come in. So Kia, we're just going to go through and talk about all the different people who have played the presidents throughout the eras.
Let's do it.
We're not going to obviously go back. If anybody played like President Reagan in like 2008, we're really not going to talk about that. But we'll talk about when they were active presidents. So
Sure.
So the first one is Gerald Ford, played by Chevy Chase, and this is one of those cases where my primary knowledge of Ford is that he wasn't elected because he came in after Nixon resigned, and in fact, Nixon's vice president had also resigned previously. So so Ford was actually appointed to vice president and then became president when Nixon resigned. So Ford, that's my first fact I know about Ford. And the second fact I know about Ford is that he fell coming off of Air Force One, and that was the entire impression on SNL they had of him. So
yeah, I'm pretty sure. I think that's all I remember. That's like the only clip that I've seen. Because here's the thing: as a relatively younger person compared to SNL, I don't know anything about Ford. I didn't watch SNL during that era at all. It's just best of clips that I've seen. The only thing I have to say is that I think it's kind of funny that they picked a Chevy to play a Ford. But I guess that's it.
I do remember Futurama said that Gerald Ford invented the automobile.
Oh yeah,
that's how people would know about Ford in the future 1,000 years from now. Students would get confused in museums. Mm-hmm. But it's basically Chevy Chase looking like Chevy Chase, climbing up a Christmas tree and then falling. Which
good for him.
I mean, it's really just Chevy Chase is saying, "Hey, call me Gerald Ford in this skit. I'm Gerald Ford." Which the second one is also Jimmy Carter, played by Dan Aykroyd, which Dan Aykroyd wouldn't even shave his mustache to play Jimmy Carter, which is very confusing to me because I'm like, I don't think Jimmy Carter had a mustache. I know Dan Aykroyd so well, so it's just kind of I don't know if this is
it's hard to
if this is an accurate Jimmy Carter impression. I mean, there's Jimmy Carter talking down people from LSD trips and that kind of stuff. But again, I don't know how accurate it is. It's funny enough to think, oh, the president's doing this, but I don't know if it's if it was Daryl Hammond's Bill Clinton doing that, I'd find it probably very funny in that kind of context.
Right, yeah, we're more familiar with Bill Clinton, and he, yeah. I think I see what you're saying. It's just kind of a funny, Southern character put in situations, but, it happens to be the president, and that's why it's funny.
Yeah.
Makes total sense, yeah.
But it is funny that, early SNL, didn't give a shit about, makeup accuracy, and almost to a fault, SNL, goes the opposite way with a lot of their political candidate impressions, especially now with the primaries and stuff. The primaries that just ran through last season. It seemed like we're just going to make sure the makeup makes this person look like the person.
Right,
and
sometimes
that's the joke.
Just go overboard, yeah, and it's not even worth. God, I hate to jump so far ahead, but Fred Armisten's Obama comes to mind instantly, and I'm just yeah, maybe not.
Yeah, I mean, but I'm trying to just think of look, we put her in clothes that Michelle Bachmann looks like, and I'm like, okay,
right,
cool,
good enough, sure, whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, write some jokes. How about that?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think one of the big. I mean, again, I'm going to jump to some of the complaints I've had about SNL. Last season, I didn't really care for a lot of their political stuff early on. It was a lot of just kind of repeating what was going on and trying to imitate more than it was going above and beyond and creating something. I think the obvious exception to that rule is Kate McKinnon's Hillary Clinton, which was well, what a cool character and a lot of fun, and not really based in reality too much, but just a whole lot of fun. Sorry, I'm jumping off.
No, I agree with that. Because 2008 and maybe 2012, they did Thursday Night Live, where they would reenact debates, and literally it was just them saying the same lines or mildly heightening them, but not just completely.
Which isn't funny to me. Yeah.
It's okay, cool.
Especially in this, post Daily Show world where, political news commentary is sort of all over the place now. You really have to do something more instead of just repeating. We've seen them say that, and in a post-Trump world as well. It's
because
he's ridiculous. How are you going to heighten that? You can't just repeat him.
Yeah, because it's a lot easier to say show candidate saying something, and then pundit or comedy host going joke, 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 based off of what they already said. That seems to work more effectively than, just saying oh, I said the same thing Mitt Romney said.
Right. Hey, good for you.
Good for you. So we don't have the reference for that kind of thing. And I don't even really have much.
We're too young. I apologize to all those millions of older viewers that we have, older listeners who wanted to come in, tune in, hear us listen about Ford and Carter, tough titties. Get out of here.
You know what, though? The original cast was still the best cast. So, new listeners,
no good.
No
Man, I wish they'd just fall down like Chevy Chase did.
I know. They should have just canceled the show after the first 5 years. It's been nothing good since then. So, I agree with you, new listeners. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for sticking
Yeah,
with us.
that's the end of our episode. Get out of here now.
Okay. All right. Now that the older listeners are out.
All right. Hey, those of you who are still around, we're gonna keep going. All right. Cool.
Hey, Gen X.
What's
Guess
next?
wasn't that great when Joe Piscopo played Ronald Reagan, and then when Randy Quaid played Ronald Reagan, wasn't that great? I agree, Gen X.
Oh, Joe Piscopo. Sorry, that made me laugh. Just saying his name is funny.
I know I can't say I have nothing to say about Joe Piscopo's Ronald Reagan, or I did not know that Randy Quaid played him for a season. I guess somebody had to play Reagan.
The only Reagan sketch that I really remember, again, I was way too young, but I would catch the repeats on like Comedy Central. They had a lot of repeats from the Phil Hartman era, and it's him playing Reagan, which was this sketch where there's like, he's doing all the typical presidential like press photos and stuff, like little Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts coming in. He's like taking photos with them, and then okay, it's business time. Like get it to it. Like it's a fun character that he was kind of creating where it's all business. Let's go. Very. I think Vince, you described it as Machiavellian, where he's kind of like taking over and like a strong general and blah blah blah, and switch back into fun happy mode. Like I remember that. It's really fun.
Yeah, because I don't know if Reagan was the first, but definitely of our modern era that kind of like tapped onto like, I want to be like John Wayne as the president. You're just gonna adopt a like folksy, kind of single man Jack Bauer, James Bond hero, who is like a one man army who just gets the job done. Like that's who we're gonna elect as our president. George W. Bush also really tapped into that narrative, I think, effectively to get elected. But
so you're saying Republicans?
It appeals to undecided voters in that middle area as well.
Hot takes.
Yes, that's
renegade.
That's
outlaws.
He says what he means. No, but he's kind of folksy. And actually, my impression's the better impression I know of Reagan is on Professor Blastoff podcast. Is that what it's called, with Kyle Dunnigan? Have you ever heard that?
Yeah, I've never listened to that one with Tig Notaro and
the other guy,
I've never.
Kyle. He's got a really good Reagan impression where he just, I don't know, they just get him to say like fortune cookie sayings and stuff. It's really funny. But Phil Hartman's your pro there. I guess that's your right call for that.
Yeah.
Again, I don't really have much to say. This is probably very disappointing because the first half is over. But hey, 90s kids are going to love this. We're going to start talking about George Herbert Walker Bush, played by Dana Carvey. Not going to do it.
Well, not going to do it. A classic. Yeah, absolutely. No new taxes, all that sort of stuff.
Wouldn't be prudent.
Really good. Yeah. There's, gosh, what was that sketch of, oh, you know what? This came in later. I know we said we wouldn't do it, but kind of talking about when Will Ferrell was playing George W. Bush, and I think they brought Dana Carvey back to play HW, and they were like duck hunting together or something like that. I will always remember that as being like sort of the perfect like two Bush impression thing. Really good stuff, and yeah, overall, just I think that's the first impression that I remember seeing on a regular basis is Dana Carvey's HW, because just it was really excellent stuff. I can't recall too many specifics. It was just sort of those catchphrases that we had. Like I don't remember the premises of many of these sketches because it was often him just talking at the camera, right? Like I really feel like that's what I saw him do more than anything. I feel like I don't remember many of the skits. I think he did a lot of like single camera, just like cold opens where he just talked straight to the camera. He didn't participate in many skits or sketches. I'm sorry. One of these days. That was Dana Carvey's MO in general. Like Church Lady kind of did that a lot. He was sort of like, a lot of SNL, I guess, over the years has been just like monologues at the camera, especially during that era. But Dana Carvey especially, I think, did a lot of that.
Yeah, they've recently done that still, but it just doesn't work as well. It's more like the two-person talking to the camera thing. That one's always kind of weird. Mm-hmm. Like, I think they did a Donald and Melania. I think probably even the season premiere opening last year, they did that. And it's just like, that format just doesn't work well unless you have, like, a performer that can really carry it. Dana Carvey actually had a really great stand-up special, I want to say, on Comedy Central, like maybe around 94, 95. And he talked a lot about meeting Herbert Walker Bush and doing the impression and how they would like prank call Barbara. I think I remember this correctly. It's been 20 years, but like,
it sounds familiar to me too. Yeah.
and Barbara being like, Dana, stop it, which I find really, really funny. And just like Bush the first, just kind of like cackling in the background. I don't think SNL ever did. Do you remember the Herbert Walker Bush like vomited on the Japanese prime minister or a high-ranking Japanese politician? Did you ever see that in real life?
Like in real life?
Yeah, he got like sick eating something in Japan and vomited all over like a high-ranking Japanese public official. I don't think SNL even did that. Like, because the thing is, like, I feel we're really bad mouthing SNL today. Please do listen to Saturday Night Love. But I feel like SNL would just do that as a skit. You know, just
right? Like I remember when, again, I'm jumping ahead, but when George W. Bush was like choking on pretzels or something like that in the White House. It was kind of like a weird thing. Like I remember seeing some news story about that where he almost choked on a pretzel, and they just kind of recreated it. They do a lot of recreations and reenactments, but with little twists on it. Not just that, but we live in a world where the muse permeates a lot faster, and it's a lot different. Where I don't know. I guess like vomiting on a prime minister is equally important, and everyone would have heard about it.
It's a funny video.
Man, it is weird that they didn't do anything like that. It just kind of wasn't their style. They didn't do. The presidents often were very presidential, in those old sketches. They would just talk at the camera and be the president addressing the nation, rather than videos of, like, often I think in the Obama era, we really started to see a lot more of, hey, let's see a clip of Obama doing this, rather than Obama addressing the nation. And we started to get more of that with politics, as I think the people got more comfortable with politicians and kind of, I think, wanted to see them in a different light. I don't know what it is.
Because I'm thinking like the pretzel era, like I would probably like go really absurdist, like Bobby Moynihan in a pretzel costume, like trying to get into the Oval Office.
That's an interesting sketch. Let's workshop that.
Yeah, but like not just like Bush choked on something, but like a pretzel like trying to infiltrate. I think there's ways you could go with this that would be funnier than whatever they ended up doing. Sorry, that's why we're not those who can't write. Teach, and those who can't teach review.
Well, no. Again, if this was sort of like in the past, it would have just been George W. Bush like addressing the camera, saying, "Nation, I think you may have heard some rumors about my choking on a pretzel. I'd like to set the record straight. I will not, negotiate with any pretzels or whatever, some stupid shit like that."
And then
right?
a little terrorist bandito pretzel.
No,
picture.
like again. Oh yeah, a picture. Sure, yeah.
Yeah, he put him on a playing card or something.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah. But, so who knows? Yeah, it's interesting to see the evolution of SNL as we're talking about this throughout the years, and sort of what people expect from their sketch comedy. Because it was very simple back then, and sometimes I do wish it was a little bit more simple, but it does stifle creativity too. So you win some, you lose some. Is that the right expression?
Yes, you win some, you lose some.
You win some, loses, you lose some, wins. It happens.
So, what I also really loved is that Dana Carvey in this era also played one of the other guys running against Herbert Walker Bush. He played Ross Perot during the '92 election.
Oh yes. Oh, I was just thinking about Ross Perot. Somebody was talking about him. I think somebody was comparing. Who's the libertarian guy? Gary Johnson. They were saying, like, for the first time since Ross Perot, people are like kind of interested in a third party, and that's interesting to me because I'm going to talk about another sketch show, one that I remember very well from the 90s, which was All That. And I remember that All That had forget the little girl's name, but
it wasn't Amanda Bynes, but it was another short little girl.
It was the other one before her, before like Amanda Bynes joined the cast, and she did a Ross Perot impression. It was like this crazy little imp thing, and I remember being like, "Oh yeah, that is Ross Perot." And now I'm thinking back, and I'm like, "Holy shit!" Me as like a fucking 10-year-old kid knew who Ross Perot was, and like would understand that kind of topical humor. Like, that's kind of crazy to me. Anyways, but Dana Carvey equally impish and weird and crazy.
Yeah, well, and speaking of that, I remember my parents loved the one skit that Phil Hartman played Ross Perot's running mate. I don't remember his name, but he was just kind of like rah, rah, rah. Like, he was just kind of like, I don't remember what it was, but my parents thought that was so accurate. Even when we watched like SNL like in the late 90s on Comedy Central, they just cackle at that skit. My
That guy.
favorite,
They just remember that guy. That's
yeah,
funny.
and I think David Spade's book about SNL recently came out, and it corroborated a memory that I had, which is that I thought there was a debate skit where Perot, Clinton, and Bush, Herbert Walker were in the same skit. And I'm like, Carvey played both of them. But what they really did was that Carvey played Bush live and they had Perot pre-taped. And so they played like two of them live and they would always cut to Perot. And David Spade was told, he's like, yeah, my first week there, I'm like being told that I'm going to be playing Ross Perot. And I'm like, doesn't Dana Carvey play him? It's like, well, actually, yeah, Dana Carvey's still going to play him, but you're going to play Perot in the wide shots. And so they dressed up David Spade like Ross Perot, like Dana Carvey's Ross Perot, but just for the wide shots.
Wow. So he was like a body double for Dana Carvey.
Playing two skits.
That's crazy.
Playing two characters. Crazy. I love it, though.
It's which is so funny because these days, like you look at Trump, you look at Ted Cruz, you look at all these other folks, and they just have no consistency. Like they'll just kind of throw anything at the wall and let people like keep trying different things. Like I think at this point, I know I haven't watched the season premiere of SNL yet, but Alec Baldwin played Trump, and I think at this point they've had Alec Baldwin, they've had
Taron Killam and Daryl Hammond,
Daryl Hammond,
and Donald Trump. They've had four people playing Trump in skits this season or in the last year.
Yeah, it's just like they kind of need to pick one and go with it. Although. I don't know. Yeah, whatever.
I think SNL. SNL's just like, hopefully Trump is just gone in a month and a half, and we'll never have to do him again.
Yeah, I think that was the idea, but that didn't happen.
Well, I think that's what they're thinking now because I can't imagine Alec Baldwin's going to be showing up for much more than about 2 or 3 months.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. He's always game to hang out and do things. I mean, certainly he's not going to keep on doing it oh god, I feel vomit coming on. I'm not going to go down that.
Did you see? Have you watched Alec Baldwin's Match Game show that aired on ABC this summer?
No, I really want to. I don't have cable, so I tend to just watch like the the big shows and stuff I want to catch up on. I would like to see it.
He's a consummate game show host, like in the '70s style. He's great. Like,
yeah, I'm a big fan of the original Match Game, so I definitely want to check it out.
He just starts riffing, like when all the contestants start doing really bad. He just looked at one of like the celebrities and goes, we could just rerun another old episode instead of this new one. We could just stop taping right now. Like he's really, he just like riffs and like he's
nice. Yeah,
he's really good.
I mean, like I said, he's always game to like hang out and do fun stuff with SNL and hang out for their live shows, and so I wouldn't be surprised if they just asked him to keep hanging out maybe once every few episodes to come do a Trump sketch until he's gone and out of here.
I mean, like technically, like they don't even have an Obama right now.
Right, they don't because Jay Pharoah is gone. Yeah, they haven't even when Jay Pharoah was around, they didn't do an Obama sketch last year
until the season. Whenever Andy Samberg hosted was like the only time I think I saw Obama all year.
So weird, yeah, it's so weird.
Yeah, but we're gonna go. Herbert Walker lost in the '92 election, so we're getting back on track. And Bill Clinton.
Spoiler alert.
Bill Clinton was president.
HW lost.
HW lost. So those of y'all reading your page-a-day calendars or reading the People's History of the United States of America.
Wait. Who gets their election news from a page-a-day calendar? How does that even work, Vince?
A page-a-day calendar that has like on this day 24 years ago, not 25 years ago. It's like an anniversary. No. I was listening to one of my podcasts and they were talking about how they were going through the ALF 1989 calendar on like their site, and so you could check out their riffing on the ALF 1989 calendar. And I like that's supremely nerdy. But what's more nerdy is that I tweeted at them, calendars repeat themselves every 28 years. You can use that ALF calendar next year, which is even more nerdy, I feel. But that's neither here nor there.
I think they'd appreciate that.
They did.
Did they tweet back?
No, they didn't tweet back. They didn't
then how do you know they appreciate it?
I think they appreciate it. I don't know. I like to tell myself that because I don't know. You seemed like they would appreciate it, so that's okay. Neither here nor there. Yeah. Phil Hartman, again a pro, was playing William Jefferson Clinton. Slick Willie.
Well, I remember a sketch as well. I don't know if this was after Phil Hartman left the show or when Bill Clinton was first elected, where they needed to figure out who was going to play the president.
That was after
And
Hartman
so
left
they had,
for news radio.
okay, and so they had like literally every male cast member like auditioning and like doing their Clinton. And the one I always remember is that it just jumps to it flashes to Chris Rock, who's just like, yeah, I'm not gonna get it, am I? I always love that joke.
Farley was actually really funny as Bill Clinton in that skit, if I recall correctly.
I don't really remember him.
I mean, he just played him as like fat Farley, energy.
Okay, gotcha.
My favorite of the Bill Clinton, Phil Hartman skits or sketches, god damn it, one of these days, is the McDonald's one, where I guess like Bill Clinton was a little heavy at the time. Like it must have been like a news thing or something. So they were making him, or maybe Hillary was being a shrew or whatever that narrative was in the early '90s, and so she was making him work out. So he'd like run with the Secret Service, but then always just run to McDonald's and then just
I do remember that.
And just eat everybody else's food, like as he was like meeting the people. And the one that like unfortunately I think explains Somalia the best to me, and maybe that's not a good thing because I don't actually know that much about Somalia other than SNL and this one skit was
I think it's pronounced Somalia.
Oh, Somalia. Okay.
No, that's
and it was the one where he's like, well, you see, everybody's got like all their burgers and everything like that, and they're wanting to get it to all the UN sending all the food to the poor people in Somalia. But then it's intercepted by warlords, and every time it was intercepted by warlords, Bill Clinton would take a bite out of it.
Take a bite.
And I was like, I get it. I get it. I get these warlords. They're jerks. Mm-hmm. And also, it was a funny joke. But after Bill Clinton, after Phil Hartman left for news radio, Michael McKean ended up playing him, which I always thought Michael McKean was
really.
Yeah, for like a season. I don't
remember this at all.
I don't understand why Michael McKean was on SNL, considering he was like the third or fourth lead on Laverne and Shirley. He was part of Lenny and Squiggy, like in the 70s or 80s. Like he was like
there are some weird cast members on SNL through the years that you just wouldn't expect, and Michael McKean is one of them. Where I'm just like,
it's 10 years after Spinal Tap. It's 10 years after Spinal Tap. And he's got to be like 40, 50 at this point. I don't know if they just needed like an older man for their roles. Like Phil Hartman was older than most of the cast by about 5 or 6 years, maybe even a decade. Mm-hmm. Like I don't know if that's what they were looking for. I really don't know why Michael McKean was on this. Yeah. I love Michael McKean. Love him. We've talked about him before. He was on one of the best Michaels that Michael McCain defended a few episodes ago.
I was always, as a younger child, catching the reruns. I would always see him, and I would get him confused with who's the guy from Kids in the Hall, Mark McKinney.
Yes. Who was also on
SNL
after Kids in the Hall.
Very shortly, not at the same time as Michael McKean, but very near, like around that era, right?
Mm-hmm. And Jeannie Garofalo was on around that era too.
Right, but those two in particular, Mark McKinney and Michael McKean, like those two names, like just try saying that 3 times fast. Mm-hmm. Mark McKinney, Michael McKean, Mark McKinney, Michael McKean. Okay, I guess it's not that far. Anyways,
no,
yeah, that's all.
No, I do. I thought Mark McKinney was a weird thing. I'm like, you're already successful. Like, what are you doing here? Which is probably like my weird like perception of SNL is like a place where people get their start on the mainstream, not where people go to just be part of a cast. Which is why I also thought Amy Poehler was on SNL.
But then again, at the same time, like Kids in the Hall and UCB were big to us as comedy fans, but not as big as SNL necessarily, you know? Like,
I agree.
And so, like, I always think of Amy Poehler and like, hey, good for her. Great that she essentially was able to join SNL and make the UCB a bigger thing, which is amazing.
And also, she was like 25 when she started SNL. Like, she was super young, even though I thought she was super established. But
good for her.
I don't remember Michael McKean's impression, so right now I'm saying Phil Hartman wins that impression. But Daryl Hammond is like
we're picking who did the best impression? Is that what we've been doing?
Did you have a better one for Phil Hartman over the other two Reagans? I don't.
No, never mind.
Okay.
Never mind. Okay.
But I do have the one that's really stuck in my head is Daryl Hammond as Bill Clinton. He's
I
played.
mean, he's still doing it.
He's still doing it. He was actually on the season premiere of SNL this week playing Bill Clinton.
Yeah.
Yep. And he's played him over 80 times on SNL. Just in and around. I love my favorite line of Bill Clinton is after he got past all of his impeachment proceedings and like through the Senate, he just walks up to the podium and goes, "I am bulletproof." Walks away and comes back. Next time you best bring kryptonite. Like that's that's a great like heightening, and like I think that he really played on Bill Clinton's like mischievousness like in a really good way. And like made him a fun character that was like a heightened character of the real Bill Clinton. Part of my whole, and this is again thing like my memory of Bill Clinton is more tied into Daryl Hammond's impression than anything.
Probably same for me too. Yeah.
And I don't know if that was just because like Clinton was just giving comedy like a gold mine of material. I feel like all of Jay Leno and Letterman was Clinton jokes from '96 to '99.
Yeah.
Anyways, it was like like they moved straight from OJ jokes into Clinton jokes.
OJ jokes.
OJ jokes.
Good time.
Yeah.
I'm glad we got OJ jokes back again after American Crime Story. Like I was so happy just to keep talking about OJ.
He's
what a
like
good era.
96 again, isn't
not really. Oh, just like 96. We got Clinton on TV, played by Daryl Hammond. We got OJ on our screens. We got everything.
We got Cuba Gooding Jr. back playing OJ. But
yeah, Cuba.
Show me the money.
Oh yeah.
But
yep.
Show
me the money.
I don't know if it was just like a case of like comedy goldmine or just like Daryl Hammond playing the role really well, so you'd want to see his Bill Clinton every week. And
yeah.
This one, and again, this is kind of the weird era where SNL is your favorite when you're 13, like whatever era of SNL you fell into when you were 13, like that's the one you love.
Right.
So I can't tell if nostalgia is like this was my favorite one. Just spoiler alert, I like Daryl Hammond's Bill Clinton a lot.
Yeah, absolutely. Like he played that character, and he played him during the scandals, and the scandals are sort of like what really informed that character more than anything else, and so I think it goes without saying.
I even love his when Hillary was running against Obama in 2008 in the Halloween one. Do you remember that? And like Amy Poehler, Hillary was just dressed as whatever. I don't remember what she was. And I think real Barack Obama was on there. So what are you supposed to be? And Daryl Hammond, Bill Clinton, was got like a big top hat on, like Mad Hatter, and he just goes, "She's a witch." Just cracks me up every time.
I do remember that. Daryl Hammond. Great stuff. I'm so glad he's back on the show,
Yeah.
Even though he's not really back on the show, I'm glad he's around.
Yeah, keeping clean. I think he wrote an autobiography that's like pretty bad about his coke habit and stuff. I think I don't know if it was like a gimme to put him back in the SNL family and just be like, "Stay here, buddy. Stay clean. Everything's gonna be okay." But we're gonna go into George W. Bush, played by most famously probably by Will Ferrell.
Yeah, 100%. Will Ferrell just does such a good job playing dumb characters well, and God, I feel bad because at this point, Bush is like, he just had the whole thing at the African American History Museum, which he got the ball rolling on, and compared to what Republicans are like now, I'm like, man, I wish we had some Bush around.
I know. I feel like Will Ferrell played that like last year on SNL, and was like, you thought the Republican presidency was bad.
You're right.
Like,
yeah.
Like, because I hated Bush in that era, but I'm like, man, I pine for that era compared to what we got right now.
Yeah, man. And I mean, again, we're getting political hot takes, but it's so funny because he was such a like a nobody. Like Bush was just like a stand-in for like the Republicans, right? And it's so, man. God, I hate thinking about the past when I'm older and smarter because I feel like I did so many stupid things, but still. Anyways.
Yeah, because I have like a lot of like my 21 to 22-year-old friends, on Facebook who like hate Obama, and I'm like, man, I think that's the age where you just, your political identity.
You hate whoever's in charge.
And your political identity is being formed, and and this is now me starting like, hey, older listeners who love SNL season 1, now we're back on board, right? Where we're just like, oh, that's so cute. This is where you're forming your political identity, and this is where, like you're most angry and most like active. But now that I've lived through like a lot of presidential cycles, I'm like, Obama does some shitty things that I don't like, that I would have like killed Bush for, and now
Right.
I see, like, oh, I get it. Okay, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's you pick what you pick. You've already decided if you like them or not, and then you excuse the things you don't like, and
But I'm
you
trying not
or
to. I'm like,
I'm saying
like I hated
right.
the president 10 years ago for doing this. I should be similarly mad at the current president, even though he's my guy, for doing the same thing. Like, I really,
Yep.
like, that's what I'm saying.
Well, it's called constructive criticism. You don't like yell at him and like protest, say, blah, 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 I hate him, get him out. Like that's, ugh,
We're getting political.
I can go on and on talking about politics, so let's skip it. Let's move on.
But W. Bush, some people call the Clinton's impression a proto Ron Burgundy, which is kind of an interesting idea. Of
Wait,
like
the Clinton's impression?
No, I'm
You mean
sorry. Farrell's impression of Bush.
Yeah.
Which is interesting. And then I really do love that Pharaoh introduced the word strategery in his
Right.
skit. If you remember that, like, I remember that was always something to like make fun of, like Bush mispronounces words like strategery, and I'm like, I don't actually. That's not real. Like, Pharaoh came up with that, which just informs like that. Oh, W is a buffoon, but really that may be more the impression informing people's perceptions of the real person, which is like a whole.
Bush also got like the real Bush started mispronouncing words more and more as his term went on.
To be more folksy.
His 2 terms went on.
And relatable.
To be more folksy.
Like a specific example is nuclear. You can actually hear him say nuclear correctly, and in recordings like in the mid '90s, and then it changes to nuclear. Which I'm from Texas, so I didn't really understand the big deal of calling it nuclear. But he still knows what they do. So unlike some candidates, he knows that there's nuclear or nuclear. They're still bad ideas.
Right.
Hot takes.
So who else played Bush?
So funny fact, when do you think Farrell stopped playing Bush?
I don't remember when he left SNL. I'm going to just throw out a number. I'm going to say 06.
02. He stopped.
Really?
He stopped playing him in 02, a year and a half into Bush's presidency, in May 02.
Really?
I would not have believed that.
Really?
Though. Yeah.
I don't believe that at all. I can't believe it was only that. Geez.
Because he comes back and plays him now. Like, Chris Parnell is not playing W anymore. And Farrell did do like a live show on either HBO or on Real Broadway, maybe playing W. But yeah, Chris Parnell played him for a while, which I do remember, and I remember Will Forte playing him. I do not remember.
Yeah, I remember Will Forte more.
I don't remember Daryl Hammond playing him.
I don't either. Like, that just doesn't make sense.
Because I was flipping through like my SNL books just to kind of like get some memories today, and I'm like, it says Daryl Hammond playing George W. Bush. I'm like, that's not right. No, that's not right. That's a typo. So I had to go to the internet. And sure shit, it's true. And then also,
I think this was also the era where I kind of stopped watching SNL.
Right, I agree.
I think after Pharaoh left, I was like, I'm good. And at this point, that's really when The Daily Show was super getting like amazing. And so I was like, I think that's where I'm going to get my political humor from, from this point forward, sort of. And that's sort of when I made that big switch. Plus, I was getting older and ready for a more serious take on it. And so, yeah, I think I had kind of checked out a little.
I was in college. I'm not watching TV at 10:30 on a Saturday night.
Right.
I mean, I'm watching Daily Show during the weekdays because I'm like doing homework and stuff, but I'm out on a Saturday night or at the movies or something. I'm not lying and saying I was cool. I may have been by myself at the movies, but
most of us didn't have like TiVos or like able to like find it very easily online. Like, it wasn't, there weren't those Monday quarterbackers afterwards where you could find a clip of everything, right?
Right. That kind of option didn't really exist at that point. So that's why this is kind of like a lost era for me. Because like when I was in middle school, it was like I was up at home at my parents, every night watching SNL or sleeping over at a friend's house watching SNL. I don't remember that. I don't remember Jason Sudeikis also playing W. So, and I think Sudeikis played him from like 06 to 08. So Sudeikis may have played him the longest.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I really don't remember a lot of that. As much as I love a lot of that era of like Will Forte, Jason Sudeikis, Kristen Wiig, a lot of them, that's like I still hadn't really gotten super back into SNL yet. So I I kind of wish I did because I like a lot of the sketches that I've seen from that era, and I love all the performers that have come out of SNL during that era. But yeah, I was just kind of not back into it yet.
Yeah, that's pretty much how I am too. So and like the whole Fred Armisen era, I don't know that much. So I'm gonna just
God, and I love Fred Armisen. Yeah, let's keep going.
I'm gonna say that Farrell's W is the number one W though.
I think you're right.
And so now we're gonna go to our Barack Obamas, played by Fred Armisen, who
Weird.
I think was like interestingly but very clipped in his impression.
Yeah.
And then we.
I think here's the thing. Like, here's the interesting thing between Jay Farrow also played him, and probably played him longest and definitely most accurately. Jay Farrow always does the most accurate impressions. But we've talked on Saturday Night Live about how his impressions tend to be very accurate and don't necessarily heighten very much.
Yeah.
Which is interesting to me because Fred Armisen's impression, I think, was trying very hard to be accurate, but I think you could kind of see it where he was trying very hard and didn't have any room to do anything else. It was like, I'm going to hit the words and I'm going to do the impression, and that's all I've done. That's kind of like what I got from Fred Armisen doing it. It was like, that was it.
Well, and I think that's like, I don't know if it's like the accent or if it's, like the way that Barack Obama speaks is very like careful and decided and mildly monotone. So it's kind of hard to like, develop like a funny character out of that. Like W and Clinton are a lot easier, and there's a lot more material to work with and a lot of different directions you can go in. But like, I don't know if Obama was just a tough nut to crack, or if they just didn't do it, and then Key and Peele, I think, blew the doors open on like the right way to do an impression of a Barack Obama, which is like either showing him stupid in college taking bong hits, which is funny, or Luther, his anger translator, which is hilarious as well. So
yeah.
But even Jordan
that is
Peele
that is creating a new persona that goes along with it. But you're right, Jordan Peele did do a great job playing that character as well, even though he like looks nothing like him, and really they barely tried to make him look like Obama. It's all in just sort of the new character that they're creating. It doesn't have to look like him if you just do something funny, right?
Yeah, I mean, like, he needed something funny to bounce off of, and maybe that's it, that Obama needed to be the straight man in skits to then bounce off of. Crazy things.
That's very accurate. Yeah, I remember thinking that with. Did you watch Hannibal Buress had a show on Comedy Central for a little while? I watched like the first episode and I was like, oh, yeah, this doesn't work. I love you, Hannibal, but you don't work as like the solo host. You need to bounce off somebody. Like that's what you're good at.
Kimberly just started watching Eric Andre's show. Like
oh yeah. Is it because I told you how wonderful it is?
Well, we watched that Jillian Michaels skit, and I showed that to her, and then we went in to record either Saturday Night Love or Some of My Friends Read Comics. Our other show that we do with Chris, our comic show, and she had blasted through, I want to say like 7 or 8 Eric Andre episodes in the time it took us to record.
Isn't it so amazing? God, I love that. It's just insanity. It's just like a fucking LSD trip constantly. Oh, I love it. Kraft Punk has been showing up a lot this season, spraying Cheese Whiz all over everybody. Anyways, that's all.
We're not going to do an Eric Andre podcast. That'd be a funny idea, though.
No.
Yeah, Hannibal Buress is good on that show, and you're right. But I think that Key and Peele's like Barack Obama impression is just like, or character is so much more fun than anything that SNL managed to give us. And I don't think we have an Obama for the rest of the season, and I don't think we're probably going to see Obama again for a while on SNL, given that Pharaoh's gone.
Yeah, I mean, I know they have a few new cast members, but I don't know that they have anyone who's going to play Obama, really.
No,
like, it's not going to be...
it's 2 white guys, so I can't imagine.
Well, and a Hispanic woman, right? A Latina.
Yeah. She did a Sarah Silverman impression this week, and one of the guys was in every skit this week.
Really? One of the new guys?
Yeah. Every skit, except for the cold open. But you can
Weird.
hear more about that on Saturday Night Love, because I have some thoughts
on that. All right,
that guy.
I can't wait to watch it and talk about it. Cool.
But like, and Michael Che played Lester Holt this week, so I I don't know. I don't know. I mean, like, Obama's like more lame ducked than any other president I've seen, considering there's not letting him do things. But SNL presidents are just kind of an interesting concept for me. I've liked a lot of the other candidates they've had throughout the ages. I don't think Daryl Hammond's Al Gore was particularly interesting, though, although that was kind of the joke, is that he was supremely boring.
Right. I remember Norm Macdonald's Bob Dole. Like he fell off the stage. Yeah, Bob Dole. That pen. Oh boy.
Well, it's apparently because Bob Dole, I think, like injured his arm and had no use of his one of his arms, which I didn't even know, and I just thought it was like, that's a weird character choice. But now, like, reflecting back,
it's 100%. He would always carry that pen so that he like didn't have to do anything with that arm.
Yeah.
Which is like a weird personal choice as well. Like, kind of drawing attention to it a little bit. Anyways, I always that. Of course, we talked about Sarah Palin already, who is one of those impressions that has endured because she's so fucking batshit bonkers crazy that how could you not do a fantastic impression of her? And really, Tina Fey's Palin is goddamn perfect.
Palin. Well, the thing is Tina Fey's Palin started off as like, she's like dumb and kind of like, you know, folksy, and then I think Tina Fey realized like, oh, this is a garbage person. I need to make this person like a garbage person impression, in which I think the Sarah Palin impression became less fun at that point, but like I think it was necessary.
I think when they brought it back last year, I think it was definitely like on point. Like it got better and better. I think because Palin has gotten crazier and crazier and has just been like stringing words together randomly that don't make any sense. Like her run-on sentences, every time they do one of those run-on sentences on SNL with Tina Fey just being Palin, I love those. Yeah, I could listen to that all day.
Real Palin was on Match Game last week, which was weird.
Okay, never mind. I don't want to watch.
Well, don't watch episode 10. Watch it with Titus. Titus Burgess is in the earlier episodes. That's good stuff. But I'm tired
of like these terrible shit human beings. Hot takes being like, like Jimmy Fallon, like, ruffling Trump's hair and like shit like that. Like, get the fuck out of here. These aren't people. These are pieces of shit that are hot takes.
My new term is garbage people, but or garbage persons. Yeah. But I think it's also just interesting, like the number of people that have played Hillary Clinton throughout the ages and like different perspectives on that. I think it was Jan Hooks has played her. Anna Gasteyer played her in an interesting way during the Clinton scandals. And then Amy Poehler's character is a lot of fun and wildly different than Kate McKinnon's character. Which is...
Well, I think Amy Poehler went with a little more like, I'm a friendly, like, I'm the first lady, hello, or and
I'm trying to be likable, as opposed to like a maniacal sociopath that Kate McKinnon's is.
Which I think it fits with the times, because I think at this point, I mean, Hillary Clinton's got to be a little like, what the fuck? Like, how am I not president already? What is this shit? So it totally makes sense to me. And it is a different character than like the real Hillary Clinton for sure, but it's based on that sort of fun idea. And again, it creates something brand new and amazing. And really, like, if you watched Kate McKinnon and she didn't call herself Hillary Clinton, there's no way you'd say that that's Hillary Clinton. Like, not in a million years, but it's such a fantastic character.
It's a fantastic, like, so self-driven character that's just like...
Yeah. I love it.
And then I love the, like, weird laziness of Larry David's Bernie Sanders impression. That's literally...
He's just Larry David. Yeah.
He's Larry David in Curb Your Enthusiasm. And then just calling himself Bernie Sanders, which somehow works better than me than the Chevy Chase thing of I'm Chevy Chase playing Chevy Chase, but please call me Gerald Ford.
Right. It's better than having someone else try to do a Bernie Sanders impression. It's just like it's just angry Jew, you know? Like that's great. Like that's a fun archetype, you know? Even though it is kind of racist, it's, you know, I guess it's okay. I don't know. I don't understand why racism's okay sometimes, but you know what? I'm just going to go with it. It's all right.
Okay, and on that note...
I think it's time to end this thing.
I think it's time time, when we start advocating for racism, you know, that's time to end our show. This has been...
Wait, did we pick the best angry Jew? I'm going to vote for Bernie Sanders. No, I'm going to vote for Larry David. No, Bernie Sanders.
I don't know. Well, I'm kind of wishy-washy on the decision. I don't know. That was my Larry David impression. Okay, by the way.
Pretty good.
Pretty good.
Pretty. I didn't even do that on purpose. All right. But yeah, let's go. I'm done. I'm taking the headphones off.
All right. So this has been All My Friends Are Right Here. I was your host, Vince, and we also had our host, Kia, today. You can check us out. Me and Kia also host Saturday Night Love with Scott, which is just starting its 42nd season or third season with us.
Wait, our show is its 43rd season?
Yep.
What? Holy shit.
It's like one of those Learning Channel shows where we just blast through 5 seasons a year. No, we're not going back to watch the early SNL either. We're not going to ever do like one of those kind of like Gilmore Guys kind of things. But
maybe every summer we should do that. That could be cool. All
that
right,
would be
mind.
cool. We'll not remember that by next summer. But you can go to youtube.com/allmyfriendsareright and check out our best of season 41 list. You can also hear me and Kia talking about comic books with our friend Chris on Some of My Friends Read Comics. Chris has been on Saturday Night Love a few times as well, and All of My Friends Are Right Here. We just recently talked about Luke Cage, and we're going to be talking about Doctor Strange.
Misty Knight. Oh my God, if you've seen that show and you're like, Misty Knight is the shit, then come listen to this show. It's
because we've known that Misty Knight has been awesome for almost a week now. So,
Yeah.
we know, cutting edge.
We're like on the ground floor before all these other losers.
And so that has been our show, although I did promise a special announcement at the top of the show. We are actually going to be ending All My Friends Are Right Here in about 5 episodes. This is the flagship show of our network. We talk a lot about SNL, we talk a lot about pop culture, and I feel like it just is probably about the time to end it while we let some more pop culture ruminate in our domes. I feel like we talk a lot off the top of our heads, and I'm just worried that we're going to start repeating ourselves and just talking about how Santa Claus and Mighty Ducks are awesome movies every 5 episodes. And so I'm just wanted to...
I mean, they are.
They are awesome movies, but there's only so many times you can hear me tell the same stories, and I'm starting to not remember if I've told the story on the podcast. And I know that always frustrates me when I do listen to podcasts. I'm like, you've already told this story like 5 times, but it is what it is. But I do want to thank you very much for everybody listening to this show for the last 2 years. And the next 5 episodes, we've got pretty much, I looked at all of our notes of upcoming episodes, and the next 5 episodes are the 5 episodes I really wanted to get done before we sign off.
So you don't want to miss them.
You don't want to miss them, so keep subscribed to this and stay subscribed, because who knows, we may come back from a hiatus fresh as a daisy in a year.
And we're gonna keep doing the other shows on the network, the comics and the SNL ones as well. We'll probably keep doing. I think the other guys will still want to do the Now. That's what I call music drafts every now and then, and keep coming back with them. So who knows what the future holds? We'll see.
And really, it's mostly because my toddler son is starting to come like really cool, and I'd rather hang out. No, I'm going to cut this part. But
no, keep that. I methat's important. Kids are happening. Everyone's busy with life. It happens.
Everybody's getting cool jobs. My son is turning cool as shit, and I'd like to hang out with him and not edit a podcast every Sunday morning. So for that, but check out the next 5 episodes, because they're going to be doozies. They're going to be about New York. They're going to be about New York. I have other 5 ones. I don't remember where they are now off the top of my head, but they're going to be great. They're going to be great. It's going to be the best podcast you ever heard.
They're going to be so fantastic. You've never seen a podcast like it.
Yeah, and nobody's going to be saying in season 42, man, All My Friends Are Right Here really went downhill, because there won't be a season 42. So, and with that, thank you so much, Kia. I love you so much, and we'll see you again next time.
Bye.